Bum, 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 ba-dum. Hey, ba-dum, bum, bum. Ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com presents Wrestle AM. It's your boy Boom Boom here, along with Dave Coco. And Coco, we wanted to come back. We wanted to get back into podcasting and doing shows, but not like this. It came out about 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time on the day after Christmas, December 26th. That it's hard for me to spit this out because I know it's real, but John Huber, better known as Mr. Brodie Lee in All Elite Wrestling, has passed away at the age of 41. Um, his wife wrote on, commented on Instagram that he had passed away of a non COVID related lung issue, but he was surrounded by loved ones at the time of his passing. It comes to a shock. Aside from being a husband, he's also a father to two young children. He has his oldest son is Brody. His birthday's next month, so he's gonna be 9 next month. And then his youngest son Nolan uh, just turned 3. I mean, it's absolutely heartbreaking, Coco. This was, I know it's 2020. We should be ready for anything, but God, this was a shot to the gut.
Yeah, and I think it's a shot to the gut because like we see him on television. It's usually when an athlete most cases pass away. You haven't seen him like 10, 20 years. You get the nostalgia, you come back, but like we don't do many podcasts, but literally one of the few podcasts we did was how this guy isn't used correctly, how he should be pushed to the moon. And it's just sad because one second you're being a super nerd debating if he should be pushed more, where he should be on the card. You're talking about it, and then bam, the next day he's not here. It's a crazy situation, and I just try to remember his career, and he started at Chikara Combat Zone Wrestling. James Legend, he was the one that made him pop up on my radar. He's like, you got to see this guy. He's named after the Mallrats guy. You love Mallrats, you love New Jersey. Check this guy out. And I'm a I guess muscleist or a big manist. When I see a big man, I'm like, oh, I got it. He's here because he can't wrestle and he's huge. Got it. But that was never the case with him. He was a great wrestler in a big man's body, and you know there's some connections to like a Mike Awesome where you're just like, how is this guy not on top of the card? How is he not the star? So yeah, overall, um, great dude. I never got to meet him, but if you just want to see what type of man he was, WWE has a clip of him just talking about his love for pro wrestling and his son and his father. It's
Mhm.
just great to see, and I don't know. I just feel bad because we lost someone basically in their prime. He had a great character, had great opportunities. Finally getting to see the star power that I think me, Boom Boom, James Legend, and other super nerds, no offense, saw in him. You know, and yeah, just overall such a sad story because we were hoping so much more for him, and not only that, but he has kids, he has a family, so yeah, and yeah, just beyond heartbroken. You okay?
Yeah, that's my wife. Yeah, this, you look back at his career. I mean, he actually had a pretty decent career. He got his start as far back as 2003 doing some backyard wrestling in New York. And then his first mainstream, I guess what you could consider major exposure was Chikara. Of course, he always did the independent circuit and Jersey All Pro. He did uh, he did a 6-man gimmick originally with Chikara. He he actually got his break because Reckless Youth didn't show it made it was a no-show, and he was just backstage just visiting friends. And Mike Quackenbush said, "You want to get in the ring?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." So he goes in the ring. He loses in his debut against Equinox, but then he came back 2 months later. He defeated him, and then went on a streak where he was never pinned or submitted for I think for a good 9 months, 9, 10 months. Uh, he got his big break with WWE in 2012 when he signed a developmental contract, and he jumped into then it was Florida Championship Wrestling, and adopted the Luke Harper name. He was paired up with Eric Rowan, and of course this is the whole genesis of the Wyatt family, and they eventually defeated Aaron Neville and Bo Dallas to win the NXT Tag Team Champions. They were there at the transition, by the way. Um, then they made the jump onto the main roster along with Bray Wyatt, and he saw some success there. He was, I believe, a 3-time tag team champion along with Eric Rowan. He was a 1-time Intercontinental champion. Probably the best that he did, like, and I'm trying to watch how I say this, but the bit like in WWE, I think it was 20, was it 14? There was the one where it looked like they were teasing a 3-way for the championship at Mania. I think it was Wyatt, Orton, and going to be Harper, but instead they opted to leave Harper out and instead had him and Rowan challenge for the Usos for the tag team titles. That would be about as close as he would get to the main event scene. But and God, it's been about a year now. He got released from his contract actually last December, and it's funny how time flies. And then he made his debut for All Elite Wrestling this year in March of 2020. He was turned out to be the Exalted One, the mysterious leader of the Dark Order, and would go on to add members. His character was more so I guess, like a parody of Vince McMahon because he hated sneezing. He wore the suits. He hated it when people were starting to eat before he did, ate with a knife and fork. Uh, and then he would capture the.
Just before we go on, sir, I just want to say, I think that night AEW took a big step because
Mhm.
there was a lot of spoilers of who was coming in and who wasn't coming in, and they maybe a little bit of a misdirection, but I think they hit a home run that night, and him basically that night saved the Dark Order because as a fan base, super nerds, I think we were just tired of the Dark Order. And then him
Yeah.
being the leader, like the way they booked it, was amazing. So his appearance, his same night with Hardy, and I believe there was another appearance. Don't quote me on that, but
Mhm.
it was booked tremendously, and I feel that was a big step in the right direction for AEW.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think it was a great idea. I mean, I like the fact that they used Vince McMahon as like the template for his character. He, I think he was instrumental in turning around the Dark Order because when it was just Uno and Grayson, it just wasn't working. And then they started adding people, and then I think it was kind of coming along. But once they said we got the Exalted One, we've got a leader, and then they introduced Brodie Lee, and I love how he just said you're not the first, when he his debut against when he told Chris Daniels, you're not the first out of touch old man to not have faith in me, but you will be the last. I really like that, and I think that was really instrumental in turning around that gimmick, and now it's a little bit more beloved. But um, since you brought it up, Coco, what I'm not saying AEW needs to capitalize on this, and I don't want it to come off the wrong way, but I feel like you're going to have to do something if you're AEW, especially with the Dark Order. Because the best example I can think of is when Dusty Rhodes died. At that point, Cody was still Stardust, and he was a bad guy. So obviously he took some time off for the funeral to get the family affairs in order. And then when he came back, people wanted to cheer for him, but he was still a bad guy. In fact, Cody wanted to stay a bad guy, and people were mad at WWE. And then even Cody himself said, "Look, I'm not going to exploit my own father's death for some cheers and a push or something of that nature." But I feel like in this case, when you strip away everything, at the core was a man who was 41 years old. He was a he was a husband. He was a father. From everybody that I'm reading on Twitter page, like from Kip Sabian to Ten to God, who else? I mean Johnny Gargano, just everybody, for all even Taz, people who even didn't even know him that long, but people who've been with him for years are all saying the same things. He was a nice guy. He was the complete, who he really was in real life was the opposite of what his character was in the ring. And I think wrestling fans are kind of gonna want to cheer the Dark Order, even for just a night. I really felt like they should. I'm not saying work at the storyline, but give the fans an excuse to cheer for the Dark Order for just at least a night. To kind of pay tribute more so. And I know they're going to do a 10 bell salute. I know they'll do that. I know they'll do some kind of memorial on being the elite, but I feel like they need to do just a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in because they created him to be so evil, but he's such a great person. And now, what do you do creatively? I think you gotta take a break from the Dark Order. I mean, they people are gonna feel weird booing them, cheering them. It's just gonna be a weird situation. And on top of that, where do you go storyline wise? I don't know. If it was me, I would just take a break because where are you gonna go with the story? Maybe come back in a few months, maybe rebuild something. I honestly don't know. I think this is the hardest job in the world to book, and you know me, I like backseat booking more than anyone. I'm the best, But here, it's such a tough call. Where in WWE, it's a little different, but here, I don't know. It's a different situation because it would be different if like his sons were in the Dark Order. You know what I mean? But they're
Hmm.
still characters, so it's a little bit of a tiny bit of a different situation. Um, I don't know. I wouldn't want to book it. I guess if it was me, I would just do a whole classy episode on him, and then from there just take a break and give give your brain, the story, the idea time to breathe. And it's not like AEW is lacking talent or storylines. They are hitting home runs right now. So just to put one on the back burner to like regroup, I think is okay. But I don't know. That's what I would do.
If it was me, it's not, and I want everybody to know that I am taking this seriously or whatever. But if it was me and I was in this situation, what I would do is first thing I would do on the next episode of Dynamite, do everybody comes up to the ring, you do the 10 bell salute. That's fine. And then I would announce something like, okay, we're going to do, try to work at the storyline here. We're going to have a four-way dance, four tag teams, an elimination match, and the winners are going to get a championship, get a title shot against the Young Bucks at the next Dynamite. And I would, and I know everybody's thinking, well, what about the ranking system? Well, I would put some of the ranked teams in there with the chance of, you can get slingshotted automatically number one if you win or something. So I would have, I would put in maybe like the hybrid two. I would probably maybe, I don't know if I'd put in FTR just yet, but I would put in, two more tag teams, and then I would have like the Dark Order kind of like get around amongst themselves, like we need to enter in a team, and they're kind of like, well, it should be, like Silvers and Reynolds talk about, well, no, we want to do it, and then you have 5 and 10, like, no, we can do that, and finally you just have Uno and Grayson step and go, no, guys, we got to do this, just let us do this, and so that everybody relents this, so they let Uno and Grayson go in. They have, just have like a good tag team match because it's elimination style. They win. Dark Order wins. They become the number one contenders. They end that first show by showing a picture of Brodie Lee and then them doing the Dark Order salute to Brodie Lee. They go off the air. Then when you have the match between the Young Bucks and the Dark Order, you would have the Dark Order put up one hell of a fight. They would have some near falls. They would have like a false finish right there. Have the fans think, oh crap, they're going to change the titles. But I would have the Young Bucks just pull it out, and the Young Bucks, win it, and then they continue with the storyline. But you give the Dark Order that win and the salute to Brodie Lee, and then you have like this big match that continues to put the Dark Order over with in the absence of Brodie Lee. But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. It's just gonna be a tough call either way, to be honest.
Right.
And it just just a crappy situation, and hopefully his family's okay. Hopefully his kids will be okay. I'm sure AEW, just by what they present, will do what they can to take care of him. So yeah, but yeah, rest in peace. Thank you for the memories. And I was always a huge fan and always thought you should have been pushed to the moon.
I really feel like in this case I'm kind of mad at Death because I feel like Death cheated the man. I really do. I felt like he kind of got put into like a bad position in WWE, and it was like he was working hard. He was trying his damnedest, to break that glass ceiling he was up under and grab that brass ring, and it didn't matter. And it felt like no matter what he did, that goalpost always moved on him. But when he came to AEW, it looked like, okay, he's finally coming into his own. He's about to break out of this mold that he was put in, and he's about to start blazing his own trail. And then, you know, I, after he lost to Cody, I heard he had suffered some kind of injury, like a foot injury or something, and he was off TV. And then I didn't even know he was getting treatment for anything. I had no clue about this, and I felt like he was about, this guy was. I mean, hell, he was already in a main event against John Moxley earlier this year, a championship, main event, and a pay-per-view. I mean, he was already doing better, and it's like he could have gone so far, and now just he's cut short. I just don't feel like that's fair.
Yeah, definitely not. And yeah, man, just overall sad story. Hopefully, we can just remember the good memories. And I hope AEW does something special. I'd like to see WWE do something special. Just because he is such a great and rare talent. Usually when you're that big, you're not very talented, and he was amazing. So, rest in peace, my friends. All right, is
Amen.
there anything else you want to say before we roll out?
Just my thoughts and prayers are with his family right now.
All right. Well, hopefully next time we do this, we'll be in a better situation. Um, yeah. Rest in peace. And with that, I am over.